By this time, I was experiencing intense liver pain. My doctor sent me to the ER as that was the fastest way to address a liver issue and also get a colonoscopy scheduled for my intense bloody diarrhea. My sweet Dr. Shaw. She did have to do a little convincing, but I reluctantly went to the emergency room. In the ER, I was given a CAT scan with contrast. It was then that I found out that I had mild thickening of my colon. The doctor suspected some kind of colitis, which is an inflammation of the colon lining. Interestingly enough, my son Tanner was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at age 18 after many, many years of being sick. Crohn's and colitis are related diseases and also genetic. Up until this point, we had no idea where the genetic gene pool Tanner had gotten his Crohn's from. Spoiler alert, it's me. My colonoscopy was scheduled for 6 weeks out on December 21st. During those 6 weeks is when I experienced my closer to death moment. I would not classify it as a near-death experience because I knew I was not going to die naturally. I did, however, contemplate unaliving myself because the pain was something I was not sure I wanted to live with any longer. While waiting 6 weeks for my colonoscopy, I became sicker and sicker. I was pooping bloody diarrhea up to 30 times a day. Liquid was not being absorbed. I was becoming dehydrated. Going to the ER was normal. Each time I was treated for my symptoms and told that we would know more after the colonoscopy. At some point, my body began to shut down. I looked at my now husband, Patrick, and said, I can't take care of our puppy Mooney anymore. I need sleep. I needed to be left alone. I needed to lay in my bed and not be disturbed. For the next couple weeks, I laid in bed in pain, trying to remove all sensory distractions. I kept earplugs in my ears. I laid with my eyes closed. I laid still. I only left bed to poop 20 to 30 times a day. While I was working at the oncology unit, I had experienced seeing people at various stages of being alive. When I would see myself in the mirror, I identified with the patients who I knew were closer to death than life. Patrick said there were a couple times he came out to check on me and he thought I was dead. It was during one of these rests that I had my come to Jesus moment. I was talking to my spirit guides. Talking to my spirit guides is something I do all the time. I said, look guys, I'm over this. I need some insight as to what's going on. I don't want to do this anymore. If I'm going to live through this, I need help. Or else I'm going to help myself not live. The reply I received was so heartwarming. Before I tell you the reply, I'd like to share a little background. When my Uncle Archie knew he was going to die, he asked me to help him pass. I was honored. He liked to sleep in his chair, and I gave him a bell to ring for when he might need me. He would ring the bell gently if they needed something soon. He would ring the bell hard if it was an emergency. So here I was having a conversation with my spirit guides. I had just asked them for some clarity on my situation. They told me, "You are not going to die. You are not as sick as you think you are. You are not well, but you will heal. You have some side quests to accomplish." While I was receiving that message, in the background was Uncle Archie giving me his message. He was ringing that bell with vengeance. His message to me was, "Man, fuck these guys. I want to see you. Come home if you want. The water's warm." I always loved Uncle Archie's honesty. From that moment on, I returned to my meditative state. On December 21st, I had my colonoscopy. The doctor said it was one of the worst cases of ulcerative colitis he had ever seen. He could not even finish the scope because he was afraid it would perforate my colon lining. A few days before Christmas, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I was immediately admitted to the hospital for treatment. On Christmas Eve, I came home from the hospital. It was a rough couple days. I was in intense pain, but I was healing. Each day I was getting a little bit stronger. But I was gaining more than just strength. I was gaining insight. Insight in a way I had never received before. I've received insight before. I knew this was the beginning of another spiritual level up. I recognized and accepted it. I've had many spiritual level ups in this lifetime. So I knew what I was feeling. I knew what I was experiencing. I was, however, not prepared for how intense it has become. When I started feeling better, I had an intense, almost manic energy and drive to accomplish some things. Mostly little tasks that were focused on making my life easier. Things like clearing out clutter, organizing my clothing. I was a little more hyper-focused, but I knew a certain level of hyper-focus comes with spiritual leveling up. So I just flowed with it. My sweet Babu Patrick began to notice. I tried to play it cool at first, but eventually I knew I needed to ask him if he would please join this journey with me. With my infinite gratefulness, he said yes. Live love.